an IPO and sell your company stock to the public and makes millions. Millions, senor? Then what? Then retire to a small coastal fishing village where you sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take a siesta with your wife, and stroll to the village in the evenings where you could sip wine and play your guitar with your amigos. In the Garden of Eden, after eating from the fruit of the forbidden tree, Adam and Eve become knowledgeable. Their eyes are open. They realize that they are naked and cover themselves. They hear the sound of God moving about the garden, and they hid from God, which is, of course, not possible before an omniscient God. To prove that God is all-knowing, God asks in Hebrew a one-word question, Ayeka, where are you? We have struggled with that question ever since. What follows in the garden, once Adam is aware that he has erred, is the curse that he will have to work to sustain himself, Eve and his family. Some commentators suggest that the story comes after the fact to help us understand why we work and sometimes suffer at it. We were born, according to the thought of the rabbis, with two inclinations, one toward evil and one toward good. We actually live under the control of the evil inclination for the first 13 years of our lives. As we learn and grow, the inclination to be and do better takes over, as long as we engage in learning and the performance of mitzvot, good deeds. This challenge of the good overcoming evil is mirrored in the two sides of God, if you will. That is, a God who is prone to loving kindness and righteousness, and a God who rules with the severity of divine judgment. It is for this reason that Jews are guided to engage in righteous acts in an effort to repair the world from the break that occurred with Adam. This is an existential state. In fact, according to the mystics of the Kabbalah, the world resided in a vessel which exploded to release the primordial matter needed to create the world. A return to the pristine state of being requires us to find and bring together those fragments that comprise the vessel. Thus our work can and does have a purpose. We work for and to benefit ourselves, and more importantly, from a Jewish perspective, to aid others. We live by the notion that we are our brother's keeper, and we have obligations to those who are less fortunate than we are. The story is told of a Jewish couple who are finally able to have the trip of their dreams. Unfortunately, the plane is forced to land at a remote, uninhabited island. The passengers worry that they will meet their end on this island, as they will never be found. The Jewish husband turns to his wife. Remember our pledge to the Jewish Federation? Tell me that you didn't pay it. The wife responds, I was going to, but I didn't get to it before we left. Wonderful, the husband exclaims. Why wonderful, the wife asks. They'll find us to get our pledge. We have obligations we need to make and fulfill our pledge. A new truth is that the poor among us look more like us than our normal picture of street corner beggars or those who stand in the line in the food bank. The ranks of the working poor have swelled, and having served on the board of a local food bank, I am well aware of the challenge of meeting growing needs with less to provide. How we measure wealth is best illustrated in this story of the poor shoemaker who is the most generous man in his village. One day, a man in the village known as the miser died. The village leaders decided to bury him at the edge of the cemetery. No one mourned his passing. No one followed the funeral procession to the place of burial. As the days passed, the rabbi heard disturbing news regarding the shoemaker. He no longer gave alms to the beggar, complained one man. He refused every charity that approached him, declared another. Has anyone asked him about the change of heart? Asked the rabbi. Yes, replied the first man. He says he no longer has money to give away. So the rabbi decided to call on the shoemaker himself. Why have you suddenly ceased giving money to worthy causes? He asked the shoemaker. The shoemaker told the rabbi the following story. Many years ago, the man you called the miser came to me with a huge sum of money and asked me to distribute it to beggars and charities. He made me promise that I would not reveal the source of the money until after he had died. Once every month, he would visit me secretly and give me additional money to distribute. I became known as the great benefactor, even though I never spent a penny of my own money. I am surprised that no one questioned me earlier, he said. Didn't anyone wonder how I, who earned the wages of a cobbler, could afford to give away as much money as I have all these years? The rabbi called all the villagers together, told them the story of the miser. The miser has lived by the scriptures, keeping his charity a secret. They all went to the graveside of the miser and prayed. When the rabbi died, he asked to be buried near the fence, next to the grave of the man known as the miser. The lesson of the miser and the lesson of helping others is to keep God alive. Judaism teaches us that being generous and kind averts God's death. This lesson is concretized in this statement. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. In these challenging times, such advice is more valuable than an abundance of dollars in the bank. Do dollars remain in the bank after our lives end? Our reputation lives on through what we have done with our time on this planet. When we help others, the return is manifold.